You are. All right, it's Matthew Aaron back at the Donald Stevens Convention Center for the Matthew Aaron Show. Wizard World presents Comic-Con here. We're here live, and I am here with Jerry Sags of the Nasty Boys. And Jerry, my first question for you is, growing up a wrestling fan, well, first of all, you guys are probably my favorite tag team. Second of all, though, come on, the Nasty Boys Heart Foundation, WrestleMania 7, you're in Los Angeles. Do you have any stories from that night?
Oh, man. Well, that night, I'll tell you what happened that night. First of all, you got to remember, right now, it's the third day at Comic-Con. Last night, we were at Michael Anthony Hall and Billy Corrigan till all hours of the night. The Nasty Boys and us guys partying down pretty crazy. Anyway, I'll try to do the best I can here, people. Yeah. First of all, the match. Unbelievable, and always wanted to wrestle the Hart Foundation. Become, over the years, with the whole Hart family, Jim the Anvil Neidhart, best of friends with all the daughters and all the sons. Great friends with Owen, Davey Boy, Dynamite Kid, the Anvil. Brett is still one of our best friends. Talk to him all the time. Just spent last night, Harry Smith was with us, and I knew him since he was a little kid, as I do Natty and the rest of the Hart family. They're the best. Great match with, and a pinnacle of our career to win the belts at WrestleMania. But not only that, to wrestle the Hart Foundation was awesome. That night, earlier on in our career, Dusty Rhodes introduced us to Willie Nelson. Willie Nelson rolls into town to sing the national anthem at WrestleMania 7. So we end up on Willie's bus, me, Knobs, Kurt Hennig, Shawn Michaels, all us guys, for a hellacious night with Willie, which turned into a day. When we came off the bus, the sun was burning my eyeballs out. Unbelievable time, not only to be at WrestleMania 7, but to win the belts, party all night with Willie, Kurt, and Shawn, me and Knobs. Unreal. I mean, storybook ending to that one, you know what I'm saying?
Responsible PG partying, I'm assuming, with Willie Nelson?
Absolutely not. It's almost like me and my wife were just talking about this at home, you know. What kind of asshole cop would actually pull Willie Nelson's bus over? I mean, that kid over there could pull Willie Nelson's bus over. You know there's going to be a couple pounds of pot on the fucking thing, you know? Come on.
I agree. I agree.
Smoked more dope that night than I ever did probably in my life. And what a person to do it with Willie. I mean, I'll admit it. You know what I mean? Willie's one of the greatest guys on earth. One of the nicest guys you ever meet, and he loves to smoke pot.
When you're in Rome.
Yeah, exactly. When with Willie, you do what Willie does, and that is that. You know what I mean? And, you know, who cares? And he don't care. He's a big marijuana advocate, and you know, along with Woody Harrelson and everybody, and we made sure that Knobs has his medical marijuana licenses in 16 states.
So. Knobs, can I tell you, my favorite moment with you is when you were on Hogan Knows Best. You're on Hogan Knows Best, and you're running around with that 24-pack of beer, and Nick's giving you, oh, no, not Hacksaw! Protect me!
Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Nobody ever trusts that son of a bitch.
Oh, I'm the one that ran in the pool with the pack of beer and Hogan Knows Best.
Oh, it was, yeah. I like when you guys were spying on the boat, though, on Brooke and her boyfriend.
Hey, well, I'll tell you, that was the deal when Hulk had me down Miami, and they said, what should we do? I said, all the boys are in town. Hulk goes, well, bring them over. That was one of the craziest parties that was ever at that house in Miami.
Duggan was there.
Oh, Duggan was
That's
there.
where we started the song. What was the song go?
Hacksaw Duggan, that's my name. I'm a fucking asshole, binga bang.
My favorite Chicago moment with the Nasty Boys, though, is your match, Spring Stampede. It's Cactus Jack, Max Payne, Street Fight, Nasty Boys. How wild was that one?
Well, when you're going back to that, it's not only that it was wild, we were breaking ground there, because at that point in time, that style of wrestling was totally new, and we broke through on it, where Terry Funk used to push on a little bit, Cactus Jack, but it was until we got together and they actually pitted us in the first street fight ever on a pay-per-view level, and we did it with Cactus and Max Payne, the Chicago street fight. That led into later into the Philadelphia street fights with Cactus again, and we made mile markers there and broke through a whole new era in the street fighting type matches where, up until then you didn't see nothing like that. I mean, after that match, Ric Flair came in the locker room, because back in those days you didn't touch a chair, you didn't touch a table, and he went, "Oh my God, what are you guys doing out there?" This is, he was very upset about it. Later on that night, he flew in a Learjet back with Eric Bischoff back to Atlanta or Charlotte, wherever they went to, and got off the plane, and Ric Flair's son ran up to him and said, "Dad, that was the greatest match." He said, "Oh, thanks." No, he said, "No, not your match. That Nasty Boy street fight match." Nevertheless, Rick, in front of all the boys and everything at Center Stage in Atlanta, said, "I got to say something." And he told that exact story, that his son came up to him and he apologized to me and Knobs. But it was a crossover point where wrestling had changed. No, do I like to see guys go down to the ring with a dumpster full of shit, of stuff? No, but in a street fight match, you got to pull out a garbage can out of under the ring or a table or something like that at the right point in time in the match, not just a heyday of stuff the way it turned into years later. You know what I mean? But we were the initiators of that style of wrestling and that type of thing, along with Cactus, of course. You know what I mean? And we're wrestling with him was like it was a battle. You know what I mean? And it was unbelievable that we did that, the street fight, So it was awesome.
That was wild. That was great. My final question for you, Jerry, before we let you go, is the Nasty Boys. Are we going to be seeing them in TNA again? WWE? I know you're doing the circuit right now.
TNA, I don't think so. You know what I mean? Well, not for us. We sort of felt betrayed there, because we went in there, we rocked the house, we shot a hell of a deal with the Dudleys, and did that, kicked their ass with that whole scene. And I think we could have went off and drew money with them for 2 years and building in the cage matches and street fights and et cetera, because they were of their generation, we were our generation. I think people wanted to see it, and I think it was totally mishandled, and we were mistreated along with it, and that's their bad, because we could have did something they're not used to doing, that is making money. You know what I mean? Drawing money. And we could have went to Chicago and LA and to Texas and wherever and been in the cages and street fights with the Dudleys and done it for a long time. That was my plan. And obviously they'd had a different plans, you know what I mean? So I don't think we'll be at TNA, but we leave, we go back to Florida, we leave and we're working with the CWI in Canada. We leave and go on a 10-day tour of Eastern Canada, all the way up to Newfoundland, Halifax, Toronto, and the Canadian thing's really good, and doing all these Comic Cons. We'll be wrestling in Canada, coming back to wrestle in the States and different things, but mainstay in Canada now. Canada's pretty hot with this company.
Are you going to see Hitman when you're up there?
I don't know if Brett's in on any of these. I know in October, this will be Eastern Canada. October and November will be 20 days out in Western Canada, which Calgary's involved in that. If Brett's out there, I'm sure they'll pull him in on some of that stuff. I just saw Hitman out in San Francisco, and we had a hell of a time. You know what I mean? That was the same day that we were on our way to that trip that we found out Lanny had called us. He was going there with us and told us Randy had passed away. You know what I mean? And that hit everybody right in the, like a kick in the balls, Randy was my neighbor. You know what I mean? That happened like between me and Greg the Hammer's house. He lived 1 mile away from the Siege. You know what I mean? Where he drove off the road there. Every time I drive by there, I get, it's like this knife in your back, He was a great guy. Him and his dad used to...
my hometown.
Randy and his dad used to come to our house, my house on the beach. He lived right down from me when he still lived on the beach in Florida. Yeah. And over the years, great guy. And I just saw, who's the radio announcer there that had his cape on? His original cape from back in the day. That was pretty awesome. But anyway, so that's what we're doing. And that's about it. You know, Knobs is going to have some stuff to say to you because we're going to be on tour with Hogan and Friends also.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? We got that going on. You know what I mean? I'd love to, anytime, you know, I never would turn it down, you know, with anything with WWE or anything like that. But they're so, like, weird with all that stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think what's lacking, you know, in the business itself is a lot of interaction between generations, you know, and rubbing off to the young guys and helping the young guys and that type of thing. And I think more of it needs to be done. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and just so your fans know, on demand on Man vs. Food Nation, you can catch Jerry Sags throwing down some of the hottest wings ever. And
let me tell you about that. I was poisoned for 2 weeks after I ate that. Balls busted by now. You are here to sign autographs.
No, that's great. That's great. These guys are the best. Thank you very much, Jerry Sags.
I'm going to talk to you now about that.
We got to talk to you, Knobs? Hold on, I'm going to talk to Knobs. And Pam Greer we need to get.
Yeah, I can't. No,
So I'm trying to keep it really quick.
All right, I got to come around. Yeah. Well, I got most of the nasty boy stuff out of the way. I got to ask Knobs about some other stuff. If I get attacked by Duggan, lawsuits. Hey, it's Nick. Where'd you go to? Where'd you disappear to? Why am I talking into the mic when I talk to you? I don't know. All right. Tell me when you're ready.
Oh, you're still on.
This is Candid Camera, baby.
Knobs just woke me up. A little slap to the back of the head. That's a wake up.
Sit down so I'm your height. You could be on a new show. It's called Hulk Hogan's Michael Championship Wrestling, September 14th on True TV.
Wait, are we saying I'm a midget?
I'm not saying that, but yeah.
Come on, 5'5", Knobs. Cut me a break.
Well, listen, bro.
Mysterio's shorter than me, right?
I am on that show. I am Hulk's eyes and ears, and they got me in a 1975 RV riding around with 9 midgets. I got midget fever from that show.
All right, Brian, I got to ask you about Hulk Hogan and Friends Tour. What's it all about, brother?
Well, listen, Hulk started this. We're on our 3rd one. We did 2 already. They turned out fantastic. One was in Vancouver, Canada. The other one was in Green Bay. So I asked Hulk, could you please maybe let's do one in the nostalgic, historic wrestling town of Allentown, PA, where me and Sager from. That's our hometown. And he said, bro, I'd love to come there with the show. So we picked, it's now called the Agriplex, but Ag Hall. We're back in the day, WWE or WWF used to do their TVs out of there. That's where actually the building where Larry Zbyszko chair shot at Bruno Sammartino when he was laying in a pool of blood, and the fans, the Italians, went crazy. But I mean, there's a lot of nostalgic stories because everybody that's on that poster, except for Eric Bischoff, has wrestled in that building. So Hogan and Friends is just a sit-down, great night, a must-see event if it comes to your town, I must say, because all we do is sit around. Each one of us come out separately, tell different stories about being on the road, different stories about being with Macho Man, this person, that person. Then after we do that, Hulk comes out, of course, tells a bunch of stories. Then we all sit around and we take questions and answers from the fans. And it's just a night of, if you're a true wrestling fan and you love this business, you gotta see it, because some of the stories are not told anywhere and are not be seen on TV because they're personal and it's a personal venue. That's why Hulk did this. He goes, let's give back to the fans something that they never had before, which is these crazy wild-ass stories. I mean, I can't even explain some of them, but Andre the Giant and some of them, Randy Macho Man, I mean, Mr. Perfect, all the guys, and some of the guys that aren't here no more that are friends of ours, that the stories live on in our wrestlers' hearts, and now we're telling them to fans.
That sounds awesome. And one other question for you. You've made a lot of appearances with the Hulkster over the years. You've done Hogan Knows Best. You've done, now you're doing this midget championship wrestling. And that's
Championship Wrestling.
Yeah, Celebrity Championship Wrestling. You were one of the trainers. And what is it like to be close friends and actually, like, party with the Hulkster?
Well, you know what? What is so good about it, and Sag could tell you the same thing, he's just a regular guy, bro. And it's so good that we don't look at him like that. Sometimes we have to step back and say, you know, he is the most iconic wrestler that ever lived. And he's not only just in wrestling, but he's like one of the fifth known people in the world, including the Pope. He's right on up there. And to be around that guy, sometimes you step back and go, God, he's one of my best friends. And he's such a cool dude. And I mean, that's the way he is. Just the way he comes off, he's actually really like that. He's just a personally great guy. And he's been friends with me and Sag for over 24 years. And it's almost like a family situation. Sag's his family, my family, his family. You know, we all hang out down in Florida. So it's a good thing.
That's awesome. And we'd love to have you guys on the show before you have your tour. I'm dying here. I'm good.
You are buying me a couple beers after this. That's what you said.
Now you want a beer too?
Brutus here.
Everyone with the
Brutus did.
Brutus told us.
yeah.
Brutus always wants something for free. Jeez. Didn't he, stand on Hulkster's coattails enough?
Oh, there we are.
Over, I'm trying to get in there.
Hey, what are you going to do for me?
Oh, did he? What's wrong with that, Brutus?
All class.
That's why we love him. The Booty Man will live on forever, baby.
The Booty Man. Thank you so much, Naps.
Tori! Come here a second.
Bye, Tori. I love you too, Tori. Turn the camera! It's me and Tori!
You're missing Tori's butt right
I'm not
now.
missing it. I ain't missing it.
The camera's missing
the camera's missing it. They're getting a shot of my ugly mug.
No. Anyway, let's get away from the water bottles.
Oh, yeah.
You're gonna ruin my gimmick. You're usually beer or whiskey in front of me. Anyway, you guys, how's everybody doing? Are you a Chicago boy?
I'm a Chicago guy.
Well, me and Sag love this area, always did. It goes all the way back in the 80s when me and Sag wrestled for Vern Gagne. You know, we have a story, I don't want to say it right now because it's one of the stories we do tell, but we had a very exciting trip here, our first trip to the Chi-Town area, where I lost my car, and we were staying at, I forget the hotel, but we went to the Stay Out Club. That's not here no more, and I lost my car for about 2 days, and when we found it, it wasn't in too good a shape. So thank the Lord that nobody got hurt, but this was in the very early days of the Nasty Boys being the Nasty Boys, and we were much mortified. Oh, here comes Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Oh, he's got a plane too.
He has a plane to catch. He has to sit in the exit row because he's getting older now. Hey, anyway, guys, I love Chicago. Thank you, Reba, for having us on. The food is great. The fans are great. And without the fans, the Nasty Boys wouldn't be the Nasty Boys.
You got to come on the show sometime and bullshit.
Hey, I will give you my number personally. Don't give it out to anybody.
I won't.
I love the.
I won't.
Thank
you,
guys.
Brian.
Stay nasty.
All right.